But I want to talk a little bit about DEI or DEIB, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. How do you define DEIB and policies that would support kids in this school district?
Great question, right? Now, regardless of DEIB, I am a black man, as you can see, and I consider myself an American of African descent. I'm proud to be an American. And what makes us unique and beautiful and special is whosoever will, let them come. And what I mean by that is I believe that everybody has unique giftings, unique talents, and I believe that there is unity in diversity. I believe that every human being deserves to be treated with decency, dignity, and respect. These are standards that I live by and I work with even in my business. I worked in over 20 Duval County Public Schools as a contractor, mentor, and I provided professional development for principals. So I've been very active throughout the county for decades. Like, this is not something new that I just started doing. And I've mentored thousands of individuals of various backgrounds within this school district. And like I said, I believe that you do lead by example. And when I think of diversity, equity, and inclusion, I think of Duval County Public Schools as one of those cities that has a huge diverse base. We have the highest Filipino population of Filipinos out of any other city in the state of Florida, as well as Hispanic Americans, as well as African Americans. So I believe that everyone deserves to be treated with decency, dignity, and respect. And those are the standards that I bring to the classroom, as well as I would bring to the school board as well.
So you touched a good bit on race and ethnicity, which I appreciate. There's some other areas of diversity that parents may want to hear about. Kids that identify with the LGBTQ plus community and kids of various religious backgrounds. Would you speak on how you might support or not support policies for those kids?
I'm going to go back again. Every human being should be able to be treated and can have an expectation to be treated with decency, dignity, and respect. If you treat everybody right, you don't have to treat anybody special. And like I said, that's something that has to be demonstrated regardless of race, gender, ethnicity, sexual persuasion. I believe that every human being deserves that. They're entitled to that. That is that ties into the First Amendment. I mean, it's not complicated, but it must be demonstrated. And I think I'm one of those candidates that have been demonstrating this not just yesterday, but for years within the community. I mean, and to be honest with you, this is not a one-man show. This is an all-hands-on-deck effort to save our public education, to save our public schools. This ain't the Nashawn show. This is me fighting for my constituents.
General definition of DEI,
Yep.
And how would you support policies that support those kids?
Yeah, so at this current time, I am in full support of all of our DEI programs, and I know that the state of Florida is going in a different direction, and that's unfortunate, right? We're getting rid of programs that offers diversity, equity, and inclusion in our schools, and that should not be the case. We should be about the business of making sure that at the end of the day, everybody is included. And so I want to make sure that if I get the opportunity to serving on the school board, we have policies that protects all of our students, that everyone's history is shown and not that we're taking it out. And so I think right now we have, unfortunately, policies and laws that's being put in place to eliminate that. And that should not be the case. Everyone should feel included, should feel valued in our schools, especially our students. especially our students who are LGBTQIA community. They experience so much. I have witnessed it. And so we have to make sure that we're hearing them, we're valuing their opinion, and they feel safe in our buildings. And so I'll work hard as far as policy go to ensure that that is done if I'm able to serve on the board.
Thank you. Can you give us some examples, because you have experience with working with kids in the school district. Can you give us an example of how you've supported this community of kids in the past?
So one of the things for me, I had the opportunity to really serve as a mentor or a student success coordinator through the Gear Up program. And what the Gear Up program is a federal program that Duval County Public Schools have had over the last now 30 years through the Amistad Foundation. And we work with those students from 7th grade all the way to their first year in college. And so oftentimes we get a caseload of students that we work with throughout the school. I have been very intentional as it relates to our African American students, because part of that program is to ensure that they graduate on time and go off to college, career, military, or what I always say, your next, right? And so working with them to make sure that they have a next as it relates to their career goal. As it relates to our LGBTQ community, making sure that at the end of the day, they do the same thing, but they're safe and they have a safe place to come to. It bothered me many years ago when I had a student who were in middle school who unfortunately wanted to commit suicide because she was not being accepted by her family because she came out. When I had her all the way through 12th grade, that came out again, where she again wanted to commit suicide. And she felt that she did not have anyone to go to but me. And so I am very intentional about making sure that our students have a safe space to go to and people who will support them in our buildings. That's important to me because they experience so much and they feel excluded. And so we need people who will stand up for them and be their voice. As the guardian ad litem, that's what I did. I fought for the voiceless of our students. And I took that same passion and that same advocacy into the school building as well, making sure that every student whom I come in contact with had a voice in the building, and that made sure that they were heard.
Awesome, thank you. I can say I love educators. I was not born to be an educator, but school was a safe place
Absolutely.
For me. And so educators play a very important role
Absolutely.
in creating that environment for
Absolutely.
students. So I appreciate that. How would you define in general DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging for our kids in the school district?
As far as that, I have a lot of questions about that, because the one thing I don't want to do or want to support is programs that separate this block of students. This is a part of equity inclusion. If you're this, well, you don't quite fit. If you're that, you don't quite fit. I think there needs to be a broad perspective to respect all of them, all kids, no matter what. The problem I have is that, you know, when we look at something like the LGBTQ, somebody asked me, well, how do you feel about them? I said, there's human beings and students just like everyone else. The problem I have with it is we got to stop separating people. Martin Luther King wanted to bring us together. And somehow we've come into society where now we're breaking up into different groups. And I think that's hurting us. If we teach kids from the lowest level, respect everyone, including their religious and beliefs, because that's where a problem comes in at, when people who just don't believe in something, and then we demonize them. You're not a part of this group, and that's not right. We have to start at the lowest level, teach them, even if it's those programs that do it, and not push stuff on them, but say, you're a human being, these are your peers, these are your countrymen, respect it, and do that all the way up, and I don't think we would have a problem.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit more about policies that you might support based on race and ethnicity? We know we're not teaching certain things in schools when it comes to race and ethnicity, LGBTQ plus, religion, some of those things that you've named. What is your stance on policies to either support curriculum or support policies that make these kids feel safe and seen?
Okay, well, first of all, everybody has to feel safe. And LGBTQ, I keep hearing that come out, but the question I'm asking is, what about everybody else? And again, I'm not going to get into the narrative of picking these groups, but everybody has, too many times our kids get left behind because they might not agree with that. They might not agree with the Christian-led coalition. And then what we're doing is we're elevating groups over each other. That I would not to happen, don't want to happen. Do not elevate kids over one another and say, we're in this special group, but then you have a Muslim to come in and they're looking at him and he might not feel wanted or needed, Buddhist or anything. And the reason why I touch the religious aspect, because you have an influx of people coming into the country and we have to deal with that. And they're from different levels, different religions, different cultures, and that might be offensive to them. I'm not sure if you saw what happened in Dearborn, Michigan. Those men weren't tolerating that. They said you would not push this on our kids. Now, whether it was, I'm not sure how deep it was, but we have to understand, if we don't start creating policies where everybody's on one equal line, we're going to lose a lot of people. We're going to continue to have division.